There he is now, Donncha O'Callaghan. How are you? Welcome to another episode of the Offload. It's great to have you with us. What's the crack?
Yeah, all's good, Tommy. Looking forward to a great weekend ahead. Loads of rugby, but loads of we're into summertime now, really, isn't it?
We are, yeah, we are. Yes, absolutely. Well, I don't know what the weather will you call this. I think we've had our summer, man.
Oh, well, yeah, you're possibly right there. I'm just on the kids are off. So now we're all actually trying to work out how we move them and how we get them around the place. Or this is where we value chaos. Teachers. The rest of the country for this next few months kind of goes, do you know what? That Michael O'Leary was full of shit.
There was a clip going round about me on Ireland M, and it said, why Tommy Bowe hates teachers. I don't hate teachers, particularly this time of year. My gratitude and admiration for them goes to an all-time high. But and listen, Lions is in full flow at the minute, or it's about to get started as well. So loads to discuss on the show today. We're also going to, because it is Lions, we met up last week. We were in studio together and we decided to go through our top Lions moments going back as far as we can remember. So in this podcast as well, we're going to go through our top Lions moments. We'd love to hear from you on your top Lions moments. Let us know if you agree with us and what comes out as number one. We've also got a bit of news, Donncha, for our listeners.
Yes, exciting times ahead, Tommy. We're really enjoying doing the podcast. We're getting unbelievable feedback, and we are genuinely so grateful to everyone that listens. We got the dressing room up and going to see how it would go, but now it's time to drive it on. We actually do want to make that quite exclusive. We want to give it an unbelievable insight to what goes on to your pro rugby player's mind and even all the supports around that. So we're going to get some of the best people that have shaped us on there to chat to us. And we're also going to keep you up to speed with things like events and notice boards and message boards. We really want to create a community on those Tuesday evenings.
A dressing room, which is exactly what it is, where we can communicate, where we can bounce ideas and give our thoughts with each other. So yes, if you can go on to the website offloadpodcast.com and subscribe, we would really, really appreciate it, because I think to really take this podcast to the next level, we want to build this community. There'll be message forums before games. You can give your say about the blue media or the green or the red or the white media, whatever you want. Hear from us and just give you as much of an insight as we can. But to really take this podcast forward, we have to drive things on. Of course, the Friday episodes will stay exactly the way they are, but we will also in the dressing room release so much more during the week and give that extra bit. So if you'd love to support us, we'd really, really appreciate it. So check us out at offloadpodcast.com. Now, Lions.
We're excited about it, Tommy. We're excited about it because it means a lot to us. I think we started in the podcast thinking it was going to be a bit of crack, but the support of people around us has been phenomenal. So we're asking you to get in behind us, and we do appreciate every one of you that does. So thank you so much.
Big time. And I think the next couple of weeks is really going to drive it on. Some of the interviews that we've got lined up are really, really exciting. Of course, Reds head coach Les Kiss is going to be on this Tuesday's podcast, which is going to be amazing to catch up with him. Great guy with great memories with. He's head coach of the Reds. He's going to be the next Australia head coach. So really interesting to hear from him.
There we go. We have him the night before the game, Tommy, You know what I mean? Couldn't get more insight.
No, so good. Yeah. Listen, the Lions have landed. They're in Perth. They're acclimatising, getting the jet lag out of the way. Big game tomorrow morning. The tour only really starts when you land, doesn't it? You know, I kind of think the whole Portugal camp and everything else, it doesn't feel like tour until you land in Australia, South Africa, New Zealand.
There's so much that's different between me and you, because remember the time we were chatting about how I hated a sloppy captain's run and you were there. Yes. I actually found that really great for focus in my mind. You're actually making this kind of sound like the Argentina one was going to happen because the lads probably had one foot on the plane. Like maybe that's what probably happened there in terms of the concentration, because the error rate for me was through the roof. And I don't think that's something that comes from coaches or other players. I think you got to self-police your own individual errors and make sure that when you're playing with the likes of the Lions, that they're at zero. And there was an awful lot of individual errors on Friday night, wasn't there?
There was. What an amazing atmosphere. The crowd, incredible. The red jerseys, my God. You wouldn't see so many green jerseys in the Aviva Stadium for an Irish match, but it was unbelievable. I do agree with you. I think that a lot of the team just in the back of your head, you're getting to wear the red jersey, which is amazing, but does it mean the same if you're not in the country against the Reds, against Queensland, against Australia? And I just think that Andy Farrell mentioned in the after-match conference, said about the mistakes, but he said the scraps, the 50-50 contestable balls on the ground, the Lions were second to all game. And it showed how important a game it was to Argentina. They played some unbelievable rugby. But realistically, those scraps, those contestable balls on the ground are 50-50, and you can tell the team who really wants it by the ones who poach on that. So yeah, I do think that. But you played in that Argentina game years ago, and
we drew.
You got out with the skin of your teeth thanks to Johnny Wilkinson.
Thank God for Johnny Wilkinson. Forget about the drop goal to win England the World Cup. That's my thank you Johnny moment when he banged over that to draw it out, because you.
But Argentina were shite back then. They're good now.
Will you come off it? They were never shite. But you're right. Like, Contaponi has done some job. If you look what they've done this season, and now the conversation is live, isn't it?
Yeah,
why not tour Argentina? And when we were chatting to Ben, you kind of think you need places to play. You know what I mean? And they don't really have a great professional setup. But if you were playing the likes of the Japan, if you were playing New Zealand along the tour in Argentina, that's viable, isn't it?
It is, but I don't think Argentina is a viable place to play.
Have you toured there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played in Rosario and Buenos Aires.
Where Federico Pucciarello looked out for you all.
He did.
Yeah, he was a loose head with Munster. And what a man. What a great guy.
Unbelievable atmosphere over there. It was before the World Cup, and all the driftwood, as you know, had to go off on tour. You, of course, weren't there at the time. Tomas O'Leary got his first cap on that one, and I'd actually dislocated my shoulder, so I didn't get to go out on the piss. But Freddie Pucciarello took us to this place, and they gave us this drink, and it was like Argentinian poutine, right? But it was like black. Oh, it's a tar. And Tomas had to down a couple of glasses of this, man. That was
of course he did.
Oh, he was so I remember at like 2 or 3 in the morning, I had to get up and like ice my shoulder all night to try and get myself back ready again. Professional. And I just remember hearing this commotion coming down the hallway, and I think it was Mick O'Driscoll.
Of course it was.
By the belt, right? He was literally hanging. He wasn't carrying, he was pulling him by just the belt. Tomas was out of it, dragging, bouncing his head off every door frame on the way through.
I can imagine Michael coming down the corridor with Tomas looking like the battery's taken out of him.
So yeah, that was my memories of that tour as well. But unbelievable place to tour. But I think maybe a stop off by Argentina on the way to New Zealand could definitely work. How good would that be? A chance for the Lions to get their own back in Argentina, but don't know about that.
Do you know what, though? It just shows the evolving of coaching. Like, he an incredible player, Contaponi, wasn't he? Like, when you look at Raj, when you look at the guys that have transitioned out and are doing so well in the game, Paulie coach in Ireland, Contaponi coach in Argentina, Raj lighting a blaze in the top four, me on Ireland's fittest family. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
We're all doing so well.
I was going to say Paulie coaching Munster, the Munster Irish team. I saw them doing press conferences. Are there any non-Munster coaches going to do a press conference now? I was like, why is Mike Prendergast wearing a green? Oh yeah, he's part of the Irish coaching team.
And he's only chatting about the Munster lads. Craig Casey's flying.
Craig Casey, captain. There you go. Fair play.
Hold on. You're getting distracted. We'll chat about Ireland when it comes into the Georgia match. But right now, you're right. They've arrived. They're there. They're about to take on the Western Force. You have the mindset that tour starts properly now, and you're probably right. Everyone wants to get on the flight, don't they?
Everybody wants to get on the flight. Nobody hears about the British and Irish Lions tour of Dublin. Do you know what I mean? As good as it was, it's Australia. You want to be there. You've got the kit. You're ready to go and to play against Australian opposition. First off, Perth, Western Force. Going to be a huge amount of Irish over there as well. I remember playing in that game in 2013.
I was just about to say, Tommy, do I remember, man? It was an incredible team. What was your team for that match?
I was actually looking this up again. Yeah, right. So there's a few question marks about this Lions team, and do they, like, as a collective, a lot of wonderful players, but bar Itoje, Sheehan, maybe Tyke Byrne, maybe Freeman, who's guaranteed starting in the 15? And like, I was just looking at the team that started in the Western Force. Now, there's an awful lot of Irish who are going to get the opportunity in this in the game tomorrow, and they're going to have their opportunity to put their hand up, and particularly after a loss, they'll be thinking they have a great opportunity. But look, the back line in Perth in
2013, is it?
See, Lee Halfpenny, myself, two half decent players. Well, leave. You had Dricko, Manu Tuilagi, George North, Johnny Sexton, Conor Murray, Jamie Heaslip, Sean O'Brien, Tom Croft in the back row, Ian Evans, Alan Wynne Jones in the second row, Dan Cole, Rory Beskeen. Like, that's a hell of a team.
That's a hell of a team.
That is a team.
Thank God it started to get serious after you mentioned Dricko. They were like, okay, we can put Dricko in there, and then that'll allow us to put those two lemons in the back three. But listen, look at that! Look at that for X Factor players, man. The amount of X Factor players within that team. Wow.
Unbelievable. Like, my one memory of that was Dricko and Manu Tuilagi in the centre together. We hadn't really come across Manu too much at that stage. I actually think he might have been late coming out because he was with Leicester. Oh yes, I must tell you that story. We were in Hong Kong, so because we didn't play in the Barbarians game, Lions stopped off in Hong Kong, played against the Barbarians in like 45-degree heat.
It was
with
mad.
Insane humidity levels.
There's that brilliant clip of Paulie in the Babas jersey calling out everyone else to up their standards to a young Owen Farrell.
Yes, like, to be fair, but that was horrific. But as bad as it was for the Lions, who actually been training for a week, think about the poor Barbarians who'd literally been on the piss for the week. Like, they landed over in Hong Kong
from behind their own goal line.
Oh my God! They had like Joe Roccacoco, you had Nick Evans, Yash Philly, Parise. I mean, these guys are. I remember we were in the team hotel, and I remember Jim Hamilton was there, and he was like, it was like a day or two before the game, and we were in the swimming pool of the hotel, and Jim was like, Jesus, lads, I haven't seen Parise and the boys. I haven't seen them all week. We've had one training session.
Jim was being some pro. He turned up at the pool session.
But we actually went when we were on that. So the 2 days before that match, because Ulster played against Leinster in the Pro 12 final that year, and Leicester played against somebody in the English final. So we all got flown out late. So we hadn't really had a team bonded with them, a bit like the Leinster players, whatever else. So 2 days out from that game against the Barbarians, Hong Kong, we went for a few pints. Right, but the team obviously had to go back to the hotel after a couple of pints, and things really escalated.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Dricko tried to drink with Manu Tuilagi. Holy, oh my God! Like, it was nearly Dricko. I've gone a right few sessions. The man can hold his drink with the best of them. But like, trying to take on that boy, this fella, bottomless pit. So we were all drinking. We ended up coming to get home together. But Dricko, I remember we had to be up the next morning for a pool session. And we all came down to the pool session, and Gats was there keeping an eye on who turned up.
No way.
Dricko didn't turn up.
A no show. Oh, no. Sorry,
I won't be giving too much away. But I don't know whose room he was, actually. Yeah. But eventually, he came down. Eventually, he came down. But he was still in his clothes that he wore the night before. There were no change rooms at the pool. So he had to like try and get out of the clothes he'd worn the night before, put on the swimming togs, and jump into the pool to do the pool session.
Good on him.
And things went progressively worse from there for him. But anyway, listen, that was great.
But that's where you build the bonds as well, isn't there, in those kind of moments? And not only that, like, Tommy, it is important. You have to have each other's backs. Like I know that, but straight away, I don't think the fault's on Brian there. I'm there. Who's his roomie? Because he left him down there. The golden rule was always look after your pal, man. Make sure you had his back, and that you, like, even if they were balubas.
Unless you're the other 13 and you're thinking, happy days, Brian Driscoll now.
That's so true. He was rooming with who was
Jonathan Davies or Jamie Roberts.
They locked him in.
Dricko, sleep on there, lads. There's nothing happening yet. You all right? Do you want a water or anything?
I'll go down and get one of my togs. Brilliant.
But anyway, that first game, Manu and Drico. So I think Drico's cap number was 690 with the Lions. You know, you get mine is here. It's
you're 782.
752. Mine is
50.
So say Drico was 680 or whatever, 720, whatever else. Manu was exactly 100 more than him.
No way. So 100 more lines had
so this was the last of Drico's on his 4 tests. So he'd done 4 tests.
Wow.
So I think in that space, 100 people had got Lions caps at that stage.
Wow.
And they were playing 12 and 13, and there was it was like 720 and 820. It was unbelievable. So
that's class.
Really, really cool.
Brilliant moment. Do you know what I remember though? Talk about, you know what I was glad about on Friday? We saw rugby in a beautiful spot. Everyone is trying to play the game now. You know what I mean? The box kicking, all this stuff. Of course, there's kicking in the game, and you have to. But there was and it was, to be fair to Argentina, man, they brought it. This brilliant attacking one. But I remember that Western Force game. Was it Shawnee scored? No, Drico scores an amazing try with all sleight of hand and movement. It's incredible to watch back if you can see it. But that's what it's going to need this weekend as well. Tomorrow. The Lions playing with that type of attitude, but having the discipline to make sure that they're error-free or low.
Do you know what the big thing with that as well? And I have to mention as well, the other standout for that was that Cian Healy got a nasty injury, and that was the end of his tour. And that's the horrific part of this as well, is that these players are putting their body in the line, and one injury can rule you out for the whole tour as well. And that was a gutting one. But what you're saying there, and it's a similar with the match tomorrow, is that the combinations on that game, you had Conor Murray and Johnny playing 9 and 10. You had Drico in the back line. You had Rory Best and Cian Healy playing together in the front row. You had Alan Wynne-Jones and Ian Evans in the second row. So those sort of combinations made a big difference. And then all of a sudden players kind of knew what they're doing. Well, you could see that with the Lions last weekend. Even though it was a lot of English players, they're trying to play a completely new game plan. And there was a few times that they just didn't seem to know what they were at.
Okay, let's not give them a note on that though. You know, with professional players, regardless of even just at that level, but then at Lions level, you should be able to go in. You could go in with a different game plan at half time, and they should be able to implement. This is the cream, Tommy.
I get that, but there's only so much repping you can do in training to actually know that something is not what has been set up in training. Ireland, or the reason Ireland are so good is because they play a really elaborate, high-skilled rugby game. Like all other countries are trying to copy it. But the reason Ireland are so good and Leinster are so good is because the short passing, the timing onto the pass, the timing onto through gaps, like it's amazing to watch. Like that doesn't happen in a week. That's going to take time and repping at match speed. And it's easy to do it in training against, the other opposition. Like, it's different doing it against a top-class opposition like Argentina. There were times that when it clicked, it looked class. Like Bundy Aki's try, you could see the bases of the shape working well. But there were times that they looked like they were just a little bit lost and they were forcing passes. And like that's what the Lions is. That's why it's such a challenge, Donncha. This takes time.
Yeah,
and that's why Gatland was good, because Gatland's style of playing was so easy.
Yeah, it was
easy.
It was less, sorry, not being harsh, but it was less detail in terms of,
it was work rate.
Yeah, it was. But the only thing I'll say on that, I was lucky enough to tour in 2005, and I'll never forget Danny Groocock grabbing Dwayne Peel to do extra reps with him at the base of the ruck. When you run, I want to see. And like if you look at Thomas Williams' pass to Tig to send him in through and put him through that gap, that's from working it out. And I don't think that's not coaching. You know what I mean? That's player responsibility. And I have a little concern that the players, that you're a line. You have to take fucking ownership. You know what I mean? You have to boss the show. You have to be doing those type of extras, even small things, even sitting beside each other, walking through stuff and talking through stuff. You have to microwave the bonds, because if you don't have the rugby intellect, that's what we're going to get. Like what we got on Friday, loads of individual errors, which are, for me, the sign of, poor professionalism.
Andy Farrell didn't shy away from that. Like he didn't shy away from it. He said it wasn't good enough. So I would say they've heard that this week, absolutely. Yeah. But I think at that sort of level, the style of rugby that Ireland play is not something that's going. You can rep it all you want in training. This stuff takes time in a match environment, and they're going to get it. You know, with the likes of the players that are picked for the force as well, like the Beale or whatever else. Like it's going to be a test match, but at the same time, like, I do think that the Lions will win comfortably in the end in this one. Can I tell you another story? Go on, sorry.
Before you do, though, it just one for me. And it wasn't until I was kind of thinking about the game and I was wondering, are we missing just a little bit of X factor? Like you called out some of those players. There was, you know what I mean? There's X factor players there. And for me, I know we all talked about losing Doris as the leader. Mm-hmm. But I think we haven't kind of thought about losing X factor Doris as well, man. I actually think he's a massive loss. I looked at the game and, like, for me, Ellis Genge was the only one that kind of roared, if you know what I mean. Like, he was destructive in scrummaging time, and I loved it. Normally, you don't want a loose head to be that. It's nearly selfish that, like, you can drown your tight head by being that aggressive. But he was nearly that mindset of, I know you should be this good, Finlay, so come on up, you know, and I love that. Like, I just worry, are we light on a few of those? You know, well,
that's a big concern with this Lions team. They're a very talented team, but they don't maybe have the X factor they would have had in years gone by. And Ellis Genge is, but at the same time, Ellis Genge is like, I don't care, Finlay, if you're coming with me or not. Like, it's important to be a team. But in a way, it's a little bit, you're out for yourself as well with the Lions, particularly in these early games, because if the scrum doesn't go well, it reflects badly on you. You got to look out for yourself too.
Yeah, but you would talk about that because that's a dangerous one. He could look well there, but I actually think it was nearly a respect out of Finlay to kind of go, I know normally we wouldn't go this far, but we're in line shirts now, and if you can't come up level with me, you know what I mean? You should be exposed. So maybe I think... Yeah, I think that's what and that's what I'm saying with Genge and a few. I was a little bit surprised with Marrow coming off at that point because it was in the hopper for me.
Yeah.
I think a few of the players need to, you know, stop looking around. You mentioned something there. Andy is the best coach for that kind of group, isn't he? The sum of the parts to get them to go beyond themselves. But you actually, you can't shy away from your cape if you're good players like them.
Now, and this is what he says, and this is what he does. He doesn't give stuff away lightly, and he'll be tough on them this week. He'll show them this is what we expect at the Lions, and that shit's not good enough. You know, you have to show the fight. Those 50-50 balls, there is no getting away from being second best to that, particularly in front of that big crowd who paid a fortune to buy tickets for it. So I want to just quickly talk about Perth. Cottesloe Beach was one of the greatest piss-ups I've ever gone in my entire life.
You have recapped nothing about the games and all about the piss-ups. I love it.
Don't mind. I loved it. We went to Cottesloe Beach back in 2006. You were on the tour as well. And I remember I wasn't involved in the game. So we were part of the Dirties. We went out for a super Sunday. I was staying on with Rory Bess and Isaac Boss for another week in Perth. And we went for and I'll never forget coming back to the team hotel, and you lads were all getting on the bus to go to the airport. And Bossy thought that he was going to the airport too, so he got onto the team bus, still in his clothes, no bag or anything. And everyone's like, "Bossy, get off the bus! Like, we are going, get off the bus." Eddie O'Sullivan, I think was the coach. He's like, nah, mate, nah. And ended up John Hayes was the man who had to, like, literally pick him up by the belt, throw him out again. And we went back after this piss up. I remember I was rooming with John Hayes at the time, and I thought I'd try and take him on. I thought I'd try and tackle him. Oh, so he was there getting changed. He had the top off, and I saw him. I think he was like, so I took a run and jump at him. I've never, like, honestly, it was a realization. This guy, don't fuck with him. You know,
100%
was a farmer strength man, and if he saw red, that was the end of me.
Do you remember him on? Honestly, you had to avoid him. You know, when you hold the tackling pads.
Yeah.
If Hayes gave you that hip of hell, like, you honestly, every time it was minimum a stinger or something like that.
Oh my God, he's like running into a wall himself. Myself and Bestie learned very soon there that
We had a great one with, we got a strength and conditioning coach over, and Damien Mendes, and at the very start he was trying to do like loads of different things, like coming from Australia, but speed, agility and quickness was his area of expertise. So it was the start of, remember the sleds?
Yeah.
So you'd put on like a harness and you'd pull a sled with like 100 kgs on it or 110, but you do all these kind of A marches and all these athletical marches. And like some of us couldn't get it, but to be fair, and look, an incredible pair. John wasn't the best at it. Hayes wasn't the best. And I remember Mendes going crazy. He was there, it's left foot, right foot. You know what I mean? Shouting all the instructions. And John just wasn't getting it. And he was there, going bananas. And then he was there, all right, leave it. Just forget about it. And he was there, come on, tidy away the stuff. And Hayes walked over and just picked up 2 of the sleds under an arm each, honestly, and just walked on. And your man Mendes was there like this. He went from kind of going out to, oh my goodness, and we were there. Why don't you just leave him do what he needs to do?
He just needs to do what he does. I mean, unbelievable, the strength.
Actually,
right.
Another quick one. If he tied the scrummage machine, we needed to make sure, like, we were there. Will you be back now to open this, John? Because none of the rest of us could open it. You know that farmer's strength to, like, we thought we'd tighten it, and then Hayes would come over and he'd do at least 4 more ties of the scrummage. You're like, how does he can do that? I love you, Hayes. What a man. What a man.
What a backlift. Okay. The Lions really kicks off tomorrow in Perth. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the next couple of weeks as well. Please do check us out on offloadpodcast.com. We're going to now go through our top moments, Lions moments. Take a listen, see if you agree with what comes out on top. Let's take it away. So what are we going to discuss?
I think it's right, because we're heading, you know what I mean, to Australia, sorry. I think it's right, we're all looking for the brilliant moments, that we actually look back and discuss our favourite Lions moments. So pick out the beauties, the ones that stand out. When you think Lions, what moment do you think of?
There's so many. I mean, you think Lions, 137 years going. It's wild. Now, we're not going to be going back 137 years. But we'll go back as far as we can kind of remember.
Well, where's that for you?
Well, my first memory of the Lions was living with the Lions probably, but maybe, I can't remember if I watched it live, but Guscott's drop goal.
Yeah, that's a moment.
Like in terms of a Lions moment, Guscott's drop goal has got to be one on that, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I was a bit like you. 97 was the tour, I remember, because the 94 one, I remember my brother used to get videotapes, so that's how it went around. So someone would record the test and pass it around, and that's how you'd get to see it. So, okay. But there was not the level of probably content that we're used to now.
No.
Yeah.
So I remember there's a couple of things from that. I remember the Guscott drop goal. The Matt Dawson, do you remember he broke off the scrum and the fake over the top, Teichmann, all the back rows. Seeing in the clip Martin Johnson getting his eye stitched. Do you remember that? Some of the speeches in those as well. Unbelievable
Scotty Gibbs, Bunks and Osterant. Do you remember that?
Unbelievable. So like that though, like Lions moments, it's going to be hard to kind of narrow down. We're going to try and do our top 3 Lions moments. So we'll go through. So that's 97. There's loads of good memories from that. 2001 was Australia.
Yes.
The Lions series lost 3-0 in Australia. Wow. The big one from you in that one.
The big standout moment for me in that, I'll be honest with you, I think that's where Drico exploded.
Yeah,
that try, I think it's in the first test against Australia is it the Gabby? Is that
the
what
Gabba?
The Gabba.
The Gabba, yeah.
But just, I suppose I had been playing underage rugby with Drico. You know what I mean? Like we played schools and under 19s and you knew he was good. And then he started getting picked for Ireland. And I remember coming back to my buddies saying, wait till you see this guy Brian O'Driscoll. Right. And then he played for Ireland and got the hat-trick against France. Yeah. So you'd credibility.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe you thought that was his ceiling. And then that moment in 2001 where the crowd are singing Walton O'Driscoll. And just...
The step to go around the fullback.
Oh, it's got everything, doesn't it? The off-balance running, the awareness to be able to burn people.
Yeah.
Just like we know from playing the games, those unders and overs lines that are so difficult to learn, and he just does them so naturally.
Yeah.
But that 2001 tour, if I was to pick out a moment, it's that Drico try.
I was thinking as well, wasn't it not Gibbs, wasn't it Quinnell who scored?
Oh, yes.
And he's put it over the line, and it was great. It's on Sky Sports. He's just nodding like with a smile on his face. Love that one.
Do you know what, as well, though, we were kind of glad of it. It gave us a moment. Do you remember Duncan McRae kicked the shit out of Raj? So when he came back from tour, we were all like, wow. But do you know what? I know this sounds awful, right? But I got a sense in that moment of them not probably being as tight as they could have been. Like, just think of it, like...
Oh, yeah. He was left on his own, wasn't he?
100% did. Now, I know it's a week before a test and nobody wants to kind of get in trouble, but you like... You gotta have especially your 10s back, man.
Jeez,
that's like,
that was brutal.
It was brutal.
Oh,
it really,
when
really
he came
was.
off and he pointed at him. I actually remember that. I haven't seen that in a while. Right, let's move on to 2005. The Dan Carter show, wasn't it? New Zealand.
It was the Dan Carter, and
you were there for it.
I had a ringside seat in it. So I think everyone will remember 2005. There was a lot about that tour, wasn't there? You know what I mean? Clive brought 2 squads and kind of moved them around the place. My personal opinion was he was ahead of the game. I think he was so professional in that time. But what I've kind of learned now, Tommy, and what I believe, the lines nearly needs to come back. Yeah. If you know what I mean, the lines needs to be more amateur than professional in order to get these types of performance.
And I think McGeechan, who came in 2009, the year after the following tour, did that. Like, it was. I couldn't believe when I went on this tour. You were as fit as you could be going to the end of the season. Like, we trained hard on the pitch, but boy, we enjoyed ourselves off it as well. 2009 was like an old school tour.
Can I be harsh? We were the midweek team on that tour, and we had that type of experience because McGeechan was coaching our group, and we were down the South Island.
In New Zealand in 2005.
In New Zealand. We had a ball, man.
Yeah.
I feel really bad because everyone's got this horrible memory of the 2005, and it's up there with the best for me. But like, because anytime we'd finish training, he'd be like, let's get around and enjoy each other's company. After every match, there was beers, singing, messing, good fun. I remember we met up for the first test, and I called in to see the lads, Paulie, Drick, all those legends, and they're like, hey, how we get? And they were all so miserable.
Yeah, well, you're right. Like, it's the peak for a player. But at the same time, you gotta appreciate the culture of what rugby is and bring it back to the grassroots and old school. So you have to mention the tip tackle now in Bod on that one as well. Yeah. That tour, like, that was.
Well, that was probably the main talking point from it. Probably due to Alistair Campbell spinning it out of absolute control. It did go a little bit wild, but he was definitely taken out. But I wonder, like, do you remember what happened before the haka? Do you remember we need to get someone like Dricko on to tell the story, but my understanding was they went to a Maori leader to find the correct way to receive the challenge. Right. And they told them to fill the pitch and to have your greatest warrior, Dricko, with your youngest warrior, Dwayne Peel. Poor old Peely in the middle of it. But sure, we need to chat to Doug Howlett. I'd say the New Zealand lads were going, what are they at?
So, explain to me. So, had they done the haka at this stage?
No, to receive the challenge, Clive was told this was the right way to accept the challenge.
So what did they do? What did Peely have to do?
He had to kneel on the ground, and Dricko, I think, had his hands on his shoulder like he was his sponsor for his confirmation. He looked like a little boy. And I think, was there something thrown in the air? Was it grass or a feather or a leaf or something like this? But it all, like, to be fair, I don't think there was an attempt to be disrespectful. They were trying to accept the cultural challenge, but you know what I mean? That's like honestly going down to a Kerry footballer and asking him, what would you do before you take on Kerry? Of course he's going to
kneel down in front of me.
Do you know what you do? Do this to David Clifford.
Well, that's what they did to Dricko. Tipped him, David Clifford, on his shoulder. Of course, F's won over.
And missing the tour. It was a shame for that tour because not only to lose one of the best players to play the game, but also to lose a leader, and it all lost a bit of momentum at that point. You know?
And to be fair as well, there was a bit of bad blood then.
Oh yeah,
and it became, and that's not good either.
You touched on it though. The Dan Carter performance in that second test is, if anyone wants to watch back, if you're a young player, boy or girl, trying to try to perfect the game, but like when everything's cream and you see someone elevate to this level, when you're on a pitch, man, and you're there. He's amazing. Imagine thinking that on a pitch. You're there like, He's so good,
man. This guy.
He's so good.
It was a bit like Dricko, I suppose, in the tour before that. But I watched that tour in France, actually, on holidays with my family, my dad. And we had to get up at cockcrow in the morning to watch it. Yeah. And seeing Dan Carriage putting that dink through and then score. Oh, that was a masterclass. Okay, right, that was a good one. 09. We were both on that tour. Yeah. Highlights on that one are standout moments. Like, it was an old school tour. I think old school probably epitomised it by after the second test, us going on the bus trip to, we just lost the series. Went on the bus heading down to was it a safari?
Safari in Cougar Park or something, would that be right?
Yeah, but we got on the bus and there was literally crates of beer all the way up the middle of the bus. We had to like climb over them with crates of beer. Like, we'd lost the test. McGeechan was like, listen, they might as well just enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and the destination was a safari that we were going to spend a few days and then freshen up.
Well, it was one day, I think, was it not? Or one night?
Was it one night? Tell the story first, and then we'll...
Okay, so what I remember from it, we'd lost the second test. Everybody was so gutted, like, because it really was a tour to be a part of. It was the biggest highlight of my career, that tour. It was
incredible.
Woke up on the Sunday morning on this bus as if we wanted, like, listen, you hadn't been drinking, but I'd woke up with a bit of a hangover, like most of the squad. And we were like, the last thing I want to do is sit on a bus for 4 hours and drive down to a safari park. Like, I'm heartbroken here. So the beer started in the back. There was 2 buses went, one with all the coaches on it, one with the players on it. I'd say an hour into the bus trip.
A little longer, to be honest. Yeah, about 2 in.
But no, the ill feeling started to come through after an hour. It's like, why are we going on this? Why are we going to the thing? Like, the beers were flying at this stage. So about 2 hours in, the chant started, stop the bus, stop the bus. So I can't believe they did.
They did stop the bus, yeah. Because it was probably at that point. And then there was a little council meeting outside the bus. Yeah. And what was the...
2 big Lions buses pulled in at the side of the road.
And there's this conversation going on. And what was decided was one bus would head on to the safari and the other bus would head
back to where we were in Pretoria again. It was literally turn around, go back to the same hotel. So we turned round. So you went on the bus to the safari park.
Yes, exactly. The road less travelled.
I went on the bus back to Pretoria again. By the time we got 2 hours back to Pretoria, no one was in any mood to be going out again. Wow. So we ended up back at the hotel where they had this big emotional goodbye to us. Wow. And then we were drinking around the pool, and then it really hit home, the hangover. Like, oh my goodness, this is
But
desperate.
Then there was a bit of paranoia by your crew because you were like, have we split the tour? I'll be honest with you. In that moment, everyone was incredibly happy. Because, like, I'll be honest with you, all ye that were having the time of your life, right? You were like Nelson out of The Simpsons. You know what I mean? We were all like, oh my goodness. And we were all like the Millhouses kind of going. And then they're
nerds.
Like, yeah, exactly. It was like, there's a chance for all the nerds to get away from the or from the Nelsons. And we were like, done, get us on it. But I'll never forget, because I threw Wally on our bus. I was there, Wally, and he was there, no, Donners, the cracks on that bus. I was there, Wally, trust me, man. In 40 minutes, you're going to be glad to be on this bus. Now, it took probably maybe 4 hours before it eventually landed.
Yeah, okay.
It was a good safari. Although, actually, can I tell... It's for another day.
It's for another day. Yeah, Keep for another day.
I have a story about that safari. Remind me to tell you about the sunrise on that safari.
Okay, let's move on. There was another one, obviously, end of the second test. Rod's a penalty, Mornay staying kicking that. That myself and Rod will chat on the podcast about that day as well. Even looking back on it now, it breaks my heart too. So let's move on to that one. 2013, I'm going to say all the talk going into that tour was Israel Folau. This rugby league convert was come across, unbelievable player. And in the first test, George North picked him up and carried him on his shoulder. Class.
I only watched that clip a few weeks ago with Robin, my little girl, and Jake, right? And what I maybe in my head I forgot, North has the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, he was getting tackled and he kind of caught him. But then actually North got suplexed as well and wrecked his neck.
Yeah.
So it probably didn't work out too well for him. He had the ball. Folau was trying to catch. Was he trying to hold him up or something?
I think he tried to get under him, wasn't it? And he beats him to the window.
It's unbelievable.
Jeez. But he had a standout tour, didn't he?
And I think try that game as well.
I think that's what the Lions does. Sometimes you get a few individuals. We're on about everyone elevates, right? Mm-hmm. But I do think if you look back at the likes of Jeremy Davidson and Tom Smith, Ryan Jones, Dan Lydiot, Simon Taylor, Simon
people on
Easterby.
The outside who might not have been in the initial squad, or people who kind of were never in the team picks.
Exactly.
But then go to another level when the Lions comes along.
Without being harsh, we knew North was an athlete. We knew he was. But the performance level on that tour,
I'd say Lee Halfpenny. Was somebody who kind of was an unbelievable player with Wales, but people probably were picking other people. But Lee Halfpenny was unbelievable on that tour as well.
Another one, Tom Croft. You know what I mean? People don't talk about him. He was amazing.
Yeah, he was.
In that, it's amazing when you run hot at a certain time and you can leave a legacy forever in those moments. Yeah. Like Ryan Jones, I think he's a perfect example of it. He wasn't picked for tour, comes out and makes a massive impression.
Yeah,
I'll never forget. He arrived on tour, and his dad arrived in around the same time as him, and their embrace in the lobby, man, of the hotel. We were all coming in, and just getting to see that. You know what I mean? You're there, because there's always the moments. Special. And we've seen the announcement stuff, but you know the way on tour, you actually do need a little kick up the ass of. This is special, man. And just seeing him with his dad there was just unbelievable.
For family, his dad's an absolute legend as well. Lovely man.
Hopefully better crack than him.
He was always great crack to me when I went to the Ospreys. There's a couple other ones from that 2013. Johnny Sexton try in the third test. It was so close in the final test. Johnny's try separated it. Zebo's phone call to Rob Penny.
Ah, yes,
class.
Incredible. You were there in the room.
There.
Is it as good as it looks on the video?
There's few moments or few things in my life I've laughed as hard as that. When he had to roll the dice, and of course the forfeit was to ring your head coach, because I think Sam Warburton had rolled the dice and he got it, and he had to ring the Cardiff head coach to say I want to be captain next year.
It's like, surprise, I'm
Sam. Captain of the fucking Lions here. You can have whatever you want, Warby.
Exactly.
But Simon Zebo,
we're putting up a statue as we speak.
But when Zebo called Rob Penny and then it didn't go through, and then he started to leave a voicemail, and then all of a sudden it's on like a loudspeaker. They've connected it to a big speaker, and all of a sudden then it's like beep, beep, and then he's like, oh my God, he's ringing back. And he had to go, and fair play to Rob Penny for...
I was just about to say it to you. You need he's a player's coach. He gets the crack with the lads, and would have got it so well and enjoyed it. And great to have those moments.
So good. So good. 2017, Sean O'Brien's try probably will go down as one of the greats.
That is an incredible team try, isn't it? We spoke about Dricko's, which is a brilliant individual moment, but if you're looking for putting it all together...
Against the All Blacks, it was Liam Williams caught it, sidestepped, made the break, offloaded to John Davies, who I think he went on the outside of someone, gave it to Elliot Daly, who went on the outside of somebody else, back to Jonathan Davies, who then popped it inside to Shawnee. Class try.
Shawnee, all the run. How many times would he have ran that line? You know what I mean? Or just been in the support, or just been there to cause mayhem. You know what I mean?
And all he did was plop over the line, gets all the glory. But listen,
deserves every bit of it.
Well done. Spent a career doing it.
Honestly, if there was a ruck 2 foot before it, who would have lit it up?
No better man. No better man.
He would have been delighted to do it.
He was raging and he got the ball. The second test win, to have beaten so badly in the first test against New Zealand in 2017, to come back and win the second test, I think is a big moment. And then to draw it, I think it was Owen Farrell with the final penalty to draw it, to tie the test series. Everybody wants to win, but wow, massive.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, best you could hope for in that moment, really, to kind of tie it out. Of course, we're chatting about golden points now, and it won't happen to that again. But I just wonder, when you look back at that time, right, should the touring team win? If you're
away from home, everything's against you, isn't it?
Exactly. So finish all square. Tough luck, you couldn't get it done at home.
You lose.
You say that to Kieran Reid. Actually, we'll hold on to that.
An honorary point. Right, let's move on. 2021. It wasn't the greatest of tours. I think really just the fact it happened in South Africa, given COVID and all the hurdles that they faced.
Why is my memory of that Razzie with the refs? Or, you know what I mean, that whole time... I actually think that's why this tour is so important. I think we've lost, you know what I mean? We've lost those from 97.
Yeah.
Like I look at my own kids now, this one needs to grip. We need loads of these moments, don't we? On this tour, we need whatever, like you mentioned, the Simon Zebo moments, the bus, we need
the behind the scenes footage. This is what we need. A little bit.
And then more so than anything, we need the brilliant moments, the Gus Scotts, the Driscolls.
Okay, right. So we're going to give our top 3. You ready? So 2025, I'm sure there's going to be lots more moments. There are standout moments. If you're listening to the podcast, send us your message.
Yes,
what are your standout moments?
Yeah.
We're going to go for our top 3, right? So first of all, I'm going to go, just as a moment, not a positive one, O'Driscoll's tip tackle in New Zealand. Like that's just
it shook the ground for sure.
Headlines all over the world.
Yeah, well, if you do that, you've got to bracket it with the performance of Dan Carter. So we've a bit of yin and yang.
No. O'Driscoll's that's just the one moment. Come on, you're not yin and yang in this now. What's your moment?
Well, I do think that I actually think that room for an underdog, the George North moment, the Jeremy Davidson moments, the Tom Smiths, the ability to go beyond. I like that a Lions tour allows for that. They might go out in their shield after it, but at the pinnacle of our sport, they excel. So I'd like, I don't know, it's not a moment, but it's loads of little moments, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
You can't give it to a front row. You know what I mean? You can't give it to Tom Smith for how well he scrummaged in 97, man. But look at the size of him compared to that South African team.
Who scrummaged up against Oz Durant? They deserved a moment.
That's him, man. Him and Paul Wallace.
Number 2, I'm going to go for Sean O'Brien's try against New Zealand. Just all-time classic try.
It's classic, and look, why not? It's an Irish tour this time round. I'll go Drico, the 2001 tour. But just watch that back. You know what I mean? If you want to see what great in our sport is, watch Drico's try that.
What are you going to go for number 1? Number 1 Lions moment.
For me, it's Gus Scott's drop goal. That changed the game.
Yeah.
Didn't it? There's so much in it. There's so much of the hard work that gets to that moment, but the balls, man. And
in South Africa as well.
Yeah. But we also chatted about Pollock and needing, you need a bit of everything from everyone. But in that moment, you needed the most confident person on the pitch to be in the spot. And who was it? Gus Scott. You know what I mean? Like other people would shoulder away from it or set up another phase, get the 10 in the pocket. This is on, man, and I'm going to do it. And I actually think that's a little thing that's missing from England at the moment. It's coming back with these young players, but it's all on the line, and I fucking love it.
Neil Jenkins, he was a big kicker on that tour, wasn't he? I think he was there waiting for it, and they passed it to Guscott. Of course, the balls. Right, I'm going to go. Same tour I'm going to go for, because I think that Lions video just made rugby for me, made the Lions for me. But I'm not going to go Guscott's kick. I'm going to go for Jim Telfer's speech. This is your Everest, boys.
Hold on. You didn't mention that over the course of the whole chat, man.
I did kind of mention it.
You didn't at all, Tommy. We're chatting 20 odd minutes, man, and you just throw Telford into the mix. That is... you sneaky rat.
No, I did kind of sneak it in at the top now. I did. If people are listening here, you'll have heard that. So I'm going, this is your Everest, boys. Like, I could watch that YouTube.
Every day of the week.
My God, that's such a speech. Isn't it?
I'd love to fight it out with you, but that is the moment. And
it's not even on the pitch, but the Lions kind of isn't about the pitch, a lot of it.
No, it's not.
My memories from Lions tours, of course, are on the pitch, but it's the friendships, those team meetings. Like, I was there when I think Andy Farrell gave that Hurt Locker speech. Yeah. Those are the ones that your hair's in the back of your neck or something. And I'd say the players, the forwards that were in that meeting, isn't it just amazing that there was a camera there to document it?
It was amazing. It's an amazing speech. Even just looking at the players, and that's probably day before the match. You know what I mean? You're just kind of, and that's tying up loose ends normally, but he's addressing them to go to battle, man, and every one of their faces is ready to go. And just, it's a skill, isn't it? Yeah. There's inspirational people. We've been lucky to be around a few of them, but like that, to speak to your DNA. I do think we'll chat about moments, but Telford's speech will live forever. Telfer,
Jim
sorry,
Telfer, yeah.
It will live forever, won't it? Way, like, if you want to know what it means to be a lion, watch that.
Oh, it's class. And Ian McGee can couple of amazing speeches. That one where he's crying at the end of third. But number one,
and Graham Rowntree going to hug him then in
class.
it. You know what I mean? Just being
I love this. This is what I love behind the scenes. Right, there
you're
you have
a
it.
rat for putting that bit in the last minute.
Jim Telfer, number one.
Here
You take it. Fair play.
Jeremy Guscott's drop goal.
We're a team, man. We're a team.
You're the
right, there's our Lions' best moments. We didn't really agree, but we have our own individual three, and I think we're both combined on Jim Telfer to take the top spot.
Yeah, I agree, but we want to hear yours because we know we've definitely missed some of it there. So please do get in touch. We'd love to hear them.
Good stuff. Right. Well, you went for Guscott, but I think we're both agreeing. Oh, you're having a cup of tea there, are you? A cup of coffee?
You cut me short. You cut me short. I thought there was another question in that. I was just about to have a cup of tea. I was there, yes. Look at that, huh?
Best dad ever. There you have it.
There you go.
Right. I think Telfer's speech will go down in history.
You were sneaky about it, Tommy, though. Fair play to you. You dropped it in last minute. And
No, I think you'll know. Listen back now and you'll have heard it again. Fair play.
Yeah. It is an amazing speech, though, isn't it? It's honestly, I actually think, you know, the way you could get a bit of art.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be a nice one.
Maybe
not in your house. Maybe in a dressing room. Let's throw it in the dressing room on Tuesday nights, man.
Okay, there you have it. That's part of our dressing room. Right, here we go. Check us out, offloadpodcast.com. Come and join the dressing room. We're going to sing you out or talk you out. Are we going to go for it?
What have we got?
There are two types of rugby players, boys.
Oh, yes.
There's the honest ones and the rest. Do you know the words?
The honest player gets up, looks himself in the mirror and says, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. He does not complain about periphery things like beds and
the food
and
referees.
These are
these sorts
things.
Of things. These are peripheral things that weak players have always complained about. The dishonest player.
Oh.
If I tell a player he's too high and he's not tight enough, he's too fucking high.
He's too fucking high. He's not tight enough. And I'm the fucking judge.
Love it. 1997 still etched in the brain.
Oh,
Absolutely
it'll be there forever. Oh, what a moment. What a moment.
What a moment. What a man. Donncha, listen, we'll see you on Tuesday and hopefully we'll see many of our listeners there as well for Les Kiss. Amazing interview with him coming up. And of course, next Friday on the Offload podcast. Have a good day.
Come on the Lions.